Welcome into this edition of Bills Breakdown, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we are going to talk about Chris Godwin and the possibility of bringing him to the Buffalo Bills in NFL free agency. We'll go over the latest rumors you need to know coming up in just a moment. Before we do, folks, we need your help reaching 1,000 subscribers here on the channel. We're just over 300 away from reaching that next milestone. And here's the deal, folks. If we get to 1,000 subscribers, then that means we can bring you even more content. That way you can stay up to date with your favorite team throughout the entire offseason. So make sure you subscribe. Tell all your friends to subscribe as well and help us reach that mark. YouTube.com/Bills News to subscribe now for free. FanSided has named Bucs wide receiver Chris Godwin as a top free agent target for the Buffalo Bills this offseason. Chris Godwin, he's had a very good career. The Bills looking for potential options at receiver to help Josh Allen out. So what about the possibility of bringing Godwin in? Here's more from FanSided. It could benefit the Buffalo Bills to bring in a legitimate wide receiver to insert into the offense. The team was working with guys like Khalil Shakir, Mac Hollins, Amari Cooper, and Keon Coleman in 2024. Buffalo absolutely needs to bring in some new bodies at the position. Godwin is coming off of a dislocated ankle, but that was earlier in the 2024 NFL season. He's also been an insanely productive player in his NFL career, despite playing alongside Mike Evans for years. To give Josh Allen another weapon like Godwin would be a huge signal to the rest of the AFC that the Bills' already insane offense just got a lot better. Now, when it comes to Chris Godwin, talent level-wise, I have no concerns at all about his abilities of what he could do on the football field. He's already shown us that he can play at a high level. We saw that in Tampa Bay the last several seasons, as mentioned, sharing targets with Mike Evans and playing with multiple quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady, among others. But what does concern me, however, is the injury history and what we've seen recently when it comes to the injuries with Chris Godwin. He had the season-ending dislocated ankle this past season that happened in mid-October. And then you go back a couple of years ago to September 8th. He missed 2 games from a hamstring issue. And then the season prior to that, he had a season-ending torn ACL and MCL sprain as well. So here's the deal. As you get older, these things tend to not get better when it comes to these injuries. So if he's already dealt with this, then maybe it's not a good sign of how healthy he could potentially stay long term. His market value, according to Spotrac, is about a 3-year, close to $68 million deal. So for a player of his talent level, that's not a bad price tag for him, all things considered. But with him being a little bit older and those injury concerns we talked about, that kind of factors in of why he would potentially go for that price on the open market. So let's ask you, should the Buffalo Bills sign Chris Godwin? It's our pinned comment today. You got 2 options here. Let us know what you think. Type S for sign, P for pass. Weigh in and let us know which one you would rather, if you would sign him or not. S for sign, P for pass. More on Chris Godwin. He's had a very good career so far for the former 2017 third-round pick out of Penn State by the Bucs. Was a part of that Bucs Super Bowl team with Tom Brady just a few years ago, and had a breakout season in 2019 when he was named a second-team All-Pro and a Pro Bowler that season as well. And then you ask yourself, all right, so if the Bills are going to bring in Chris Godwin here, how does he fit? What would his role essentially be within Buffalo's offense? And it really comes down to this. If he can stay healthy, and granted it is a big if, then this would be a nice fit for this offense. And history tells us that when he's out there, when he's healthy, he can be a reliable target. And that's exactly what Josh Allen could be potentially looking for here. You look at the statistics, and even with the injury this year, he still had close to 600 yards in 7 games played with 5 touchdowns. In 2023, 2022, and 2021, he had over 1,000 yards receiving in each of those seasons with 2 touchdowns in 2023, 3 touchdowns in 2022, and 5 touchdowns in 2021. And another thing I would keep in mind, too, you see that the drop rate is considerably low as well for those years. He's done a very good job of hauling in a lot of catches. You can see the number there, and avoiding drops as well. Another thing to think about when it comes to the idea of bringing in a guy like Chris Godwin or some of these other receivers that are on the market right now, the AFC, it's turning into an arms race of sorts with teams like Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, among others, all trying to stockpile to see who could come up with the most explosive offenses here. And while Kansas City's competing for a Super Bowl title, Buffalo's sitting at home, and they're thinking to themselves, what do they need to do to keep up with Kansas City? Could Chris Godwin be the difference in a Buffalo Bills team that beats Kansas City and wins the AFC and ultimately goes to the Super Bowl? Can this be the guy that gets them over the hump? And the thing with Godwin, we mentioned with the lack of drops and how dependable he is, this could take a lot of the pressure off of Josh Allen, too, because we saw at times throughout this season that the receivers were kind of inconsistent, that they didn't always hold their own. And a guy like Godwin is going to bring that consistency and take that pressure off of Josh Allen, where he's not sitting there wondering, who can I count on night in and night out like he can with Chris Godwin. The Bucs general manager, Jason Light, had this to say at the NFL Combine last year when he was asked about Chris Godwin. He said the following: Chris is a very physical player. He's not afraid to work the middle. He's not intimidated, and that's a skill in itself. He's got fantastic hands. He's a very instinctive player. It's just that he can play both spots, but he just seems to excel inside. Now, obviously, there's the money component in all this as well. And we've talked about it previously that the Bills do not have a ton of cap space at the moment, but they have some potential opportunities to create some cap space with some moves that we expect, like releasing Von Miller and among others here, if the money is there. That's a big if. If they can find that cash, if they can move the couch cushions around, whatever they need to do, this to me is a no-brainer for Buffalo to go get Chris Godwin if the opportunity presents itself. What is the biggest need for the Buffalo Bills that they need to address this offseason? Is it getting help at receiver? Is it another position that comes to mind? Get in the comments section and let us know what you think that is. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of Bills Breakdown. For continuing Bills coverage all offseason long, you got to subscribe now for free and help us reach 1,000 subs on the channel, youtube.com/Bills News. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.